we're going to see what the 10-minute video does. So, when things began, she stopped talking to me for weeks. She wouldn't talk to me. She'd do like this fake angry around me. Okay? Like I kind of picked up on it. And sometimes if she wanted something, she'd be like normal. So I knew it was fake, right? And this is actually dramatic for someone that's been with someone for 13 years, right? Because I see stuff about no contact and all that. But yeah, this really messed me up. And on top of it, she gaslit me, right? Everything, like, no idea what was going on in her little brain, right? So I asked many of times, "Are we done?" Right? So I could just move on. And she would just say, "I don't know." Like, she wouldn't even give me closure, which means that she just wanted to use me or whatever to benefit her, right? It wasn't anything together. In fact, anything together hasn't happened probably since COVID came out, right? Because at some point she went on a reservation and she made a point of saying how she made sure she bought the bed with her money, income tax money. Like, the whole time in marriage, I'm like, oh, we're working as a unit. Meanwhile, at some point, she just ventured off. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Another video about finances. So anyhow, so weeks, I'm trying to work it out with her, right? She tells me what the problems are. The issue was finances. She wouldn't talk to me. So the only way that she would have any lines of communication with me, texting. So all this stuff, I got all these texts between me and her, right? And I'm sitting in the back of rings like, is she setting me up for a divorce with all these texts, right? So finally, she's been texting a lot. And it was this weird little tune I was hearing all the time. So I knew it wasn't the standard text messaging messages coming in. And at one point I seen her phone and it had some other type that said like one message waiting or something like that. I don't know. Turns out it was Facebook dating. So I seen all these flags, right? But I'm messed up in the head. I'm trying to work things out, you know, and the way things are going, like she wants to work it out, right? But in reality, no. She was done. And in fact, during the time she wasn't talking to me, she slept like a little baby. We still shared the bed that entire month. She didn't talk to me. And there was a couple times I was so upset, I went downstairs because I couldn't sleep, and her sleeping upsetted me even more, right? So then at some point, I went to work, changed my beneficiaries on my insurance, did what I could do, went to the bank, opened a separate bank account. And I went home and I said, talked to her for an hour, telling her I got one foot out the door, work on the marriage, blah, blah, blah. And I gave in to going to marriage counseling. So I asked her about the marriage counseling, and she said she called, but they were so busy that they would call us back to schedule an appointment, which to me is a red flag. That didn't make sense to me. So later on, I pushed on, and I go, "Hey, are we working this out?" And I sent this text message. Then she said, sent me the phone number of the marriage counselors, and basically said, "If you don't believe me, call blah blah blah." Red flag, right? So I'm messed up in the head, but I'm getting these red flags, and it's like, all right. So I started putting her in the microscope, right? I checked the phone records, and I seen that she called him. I had to Google the phone number and figure out who it was and all that. 0 minutes on the timer. Right there, I already knew she was not being truthful to me. 13 years, I've been nothing but truthful to her. So finally, I called him, and it didn't work out because it's her insurance. She had to call. So finally, I said I couldn't do it, and blah, blah, blah. She ended up doing it. Prior to that, she wanted to separate our phones. Or no, I'm sorry. She made the appointment, which was 8 o'clock at night. I thought that was strange. I thought that was a lie, but apparently that was true. And then, so she made the appointment. She told me what time. It was a Monday. I think we're talking, this is like Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. Well, she comes up to me and wants to separate our phones. So she has her own phone plan. our phones are together. This was a red flag to me. And when I said, well, why don't we wait and see what happens with the marriage counselor? And she goes, oh, geez, and stormed off. So that was my red flag. So she's constantly messaging people and talking through messages. And I'm like, all right. Through the years, she always goes through my phone, which pissed me off all the time. In fact, she read me and my high school buddy conversations to myself. And it drove me nuts because it's like invasion of privacy. Like, you're not even part of this conversation. Okay? So I've never went through her phone, never went through her tablet, nothing. Because I value boundaries. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I woke up at 2 in the morning, grabbed her tablet, and found her on Facebook dating. The same Facebook dating she told me she didn't have. Even though when we first talked, she said her coworkers pointed her to the dating apps. So mind you, we've already made the appointment for the marriage counselor. She won't give me an answer that we're done. Right? So I find this. And that right there told me that the marriage was done. She told me at one point in the kitchen over the insurance, that's on the finances, she didn't understand how we got to this point. I didn't want to divorce her. But the problem is there comes a point where it's kind of like your sick dog. You got to euthanize them. I had to euthanize the marriage because at some point I realized that she's using me. And they're going to get rid of me when she finds another dude. And I wasn't letting that happen. Right? So I messed up. She gaslighted me. No idea what's going on. In fact, at one point, I had my parents take my firearms out of the house because she seemed depressive because I watched her outside and doing some weird shit outside. And the only way I broke myself, and this is a pro tip to people that's going through this shit, and I'm sure other people are, men and women. I'm so messed up. Like I seen the clues, but I couldn't move past it. This right here, this little thing, yeah. I made it my desktop wallpaper. So every time I was on the computer, I would see this. And what that basically does is subconsciously imprinting it in my brain. And that's how I broke myself from her little games. When I did this, because I was reacting to her abuse. There's this other stuff too. I admit I wasn't nice, but I was also not, like, the things I did was more like, I'm just not doing husband activities for her anymore, like dishes and all that. I didn't care. But, yeah. So this right here is how I figured out the marriage is done. And this is how I broke her little Rimlin voodoo on me. That's the only way I was able to lawyer up. In fact, when I went to the lawyer even said I was all over the place. That's how messed up I was. I'm still messed up now because I never got closure. There's so many questions in my brain. Like I don't understand. You naturally want to understand things, right? But the problem is, it's like how much of my marriage at what point was true and what was just being used, because that's what I feel like now. Like I was used, and I don't know what to say.